Pos Malaysia has appointed former DHL veteran Charles Brewer as its new group CEO with effect from August 1st, 2021. Brewer, who was COO of Canada Post immediately prior to this appointment, takes over from Syed Najib Mohammed Noor, who announced his resignation in May after serving about 2.5 years. In an email statement, Pos Malaysia said Brewer brings with him a wealth of experience in both logistics and postal services. He started his career with DHL in 1984 as a courier and spent 34 years in the DHL group in various roles. He has led operations for the global logistics giant in several countries, including in Malaysia between 2004 and 2006 as the CEO of DHL Express. He was also the Managing Director of Global Customer Solutions for DHL Express in Malaysia between 2000 and 2002. According to Pos Malaysia, Brewer also had a 3-year stint as DHL e-commerce CEO based in Singapore, covering all regions except for Europe, and also previously took on several roles for DHL in the US before leading the company's Sub-Saharan Africa region. Pos Malaysia Chairman Syed Faisal Albar said he believes Brewer's global experience and his extensive knowledge of the Asian market bodes well for the Malaysian postal service provider. Datuk Seri Najib Razak's ex-media advisor Paul Stadlen and Amno lawyer Datuk Wira Hafarizam Harun are freed of money laundering charges involving millions of ringgit linked to the 1MDB fiasco. Stadlen was charged in absentia 2 years ago for laundering 14.3 million ringgit, said to have been proceeds of illegal activities. He was accused of overseeing transfers of the funds from a client's bank account at Muhammad Hafarizam's law firm, Messrs. Hafarizam 1 and Aisha Mubarak, to several individuals and companies. According to the MACC, the ex-APCO Malaysia boss has agreed to forfeit 7.2 million ringgit, and as such, the anti-graft agency is dropping its case. It said the monies will be transferred into the 1MDB trust account. Meanwhile, Muhammad Hafarizam, who mostly appeared for Najib in his civil cases, was acquitted after paying a compound of just under 590,590 ringgit. He was charged for depositing 15 million ringgit in illicit funds which he received from Najib into the client's account of the said law firm. In a press conference today, Hafarizam said he was selectively prosecuted and thanked Attorney General Tan Sri Idris Harun for withdrawing the charges. He also said that he was considering whether to file a suit against Idris's predecessor, Tan Sri Tommy Thomas. Maxis says its second quarter FY21 net profit rose 5.26% to 360 million ringgit as the telco provider booked an improved top line. Quarterly revenue rose by 5.25% to 2.26 billion ringgit as it made more from its postpaid and fibre businesses. It declared a second interim dividend of 4 cents per share. For the first half, however, earnings were 0.72% lower at 694 million ringgit due to higher depreciation and amortization and tax expenses, while cumulative revenue was flattish at 4.49 billion ringgit. In a statement, Maxis Chief Executive Officer Gokhan Ogut said he is pleased with the strong performance that the group has achieved for the quarter and will remain focused on ensuring that its customers have access to the best solutions and services. The telco attributed its resilient performance to its converged solutions strategy while focusing on providing the best connectivity and support for communities in this challenging environment. Maxis shares closed 1.4% lower at 4 ringgit 26, valuing it at 33.3 billion ringgit. Unisam Malaysia says its second quarter FY21 earnings rose 60.9% to 54.64 million ringgit on higher sales volume and selling prices, as well as better interest income. Revenue jumped by 29.7% to 402.23 million ringgit, despite the depreciation of the ringgit against the US dollar during the quarter. The semiconductor assembly and test services provider declared a dividend of 2 cents per share and also proposed a 1-for-1 bonus issue of new shares, totaling 806.54 million shares. The bonus issue will not involve capitalization of reserves. For the first half of FY21, Unisam's net profit more than tripled to 100.05 million ringgit, while revenue rose 37.3% to 776.17 million ringgit. Despite the better performance in the first half, Unisam said it expects its next quarterly performance to remain satisfactory. Notably, the group posted its best 6-month performance of 111.66 million ringgit in the second half of FY20, owing to the semiconductor boom. Its shares rose 1.5% to 8 ringgit 35 today, valuing it at 6.7 billion ringgit. IOI Corp is restructuring its $600 million or about 2.54 billion ringgit bond, a move which may include new issuance of notes and securing term loans from banks as it eyes mergers and acquisitions for growth. TA Securities analyst Angeline Chen wrote in a note today, IOI Corp officials said in a recent conversation with the company that the bond, which is due in June 2022, represents about half of IOI's reported borrowings as of March 31st, 2021. Chen said the current low net gearing ratio of 0.3 times provides room for IOI to gear up more to grow its business via potential M&A. According to IOI's latest financial statements, it had 3.7 billion ringgit worth of borrowings under the non-current liabilities section of its balance sheet as at March 31st, 2021. Under the current liabilities section, the oil palm plantation company said its short-term borrowings amounted to 1.12 billion ringgit. IOI's earnings have improved. Its third quarter FY21 net profit rose to 401.3 million ringgit from 100,000 ringgit a year earlier, while revenue was higher at 2.86 billion ringgit versus 2.03 billion ringgit. The stock fell 1.4% to 3 ringgit 65 today for a market value of just under 23 billion ringgit.